many fans you are in the chat.
All right, everyone, welcome back to another MDG media production. This is the back nine from round 2 of EUROTOUR stop number 3, the Krokhol Open. I'm your host today, Nate Perkins, joined here with one of the players on this lead card, Elias Luukkonen from Finland. How we doing, son?
What up, Nate? Very nice to be here, reliving this quite an exciting round. I hope I can provide you guys with some insight on what was happening on the card as we take a look at the top 10. 2 guys on our card, Paul and Brad, both shooting a solid 4 under front 9, leading myself with 3 strokes, and a guy from the second card, Miro Ryhänen, actually one back of me. So a little bit of change on the scoreboard, and let's see how it turns out.
So if you haven't been with us up to this point, we are at the Krokhol Disc Golf Course, about a half hour outside of Oslo, Norway. Starting this back 9 with a downhill par 3, 126 meters, probably plays closer to 115. There is OB everywhere. Some players are playing this huge hyzer out over the trees, very risky. Some players playing a straight mid to turnover. I believe Paul is actually going Luna here. The wind is down for Saturday's round.
Yeah, the late tee times that we had really pushing the wind to pretty low speeds. As you can see, Paul turning it slightly over. Needs to slow down though to not contend with that OB long, and he's right on the line, but just safe by about 10 centimeters. That's a good break from Paul there. And myself, I'm actually going with the wide forehand here. Trying to advise the crowd to watch out since I'm going over them. Hopefully give them some excitement. Hitting my line pretty good. Hopefully take a big skip here. And
oh, just past the pin and around the stake and back in bounds. What a shot. Oh, and giving the crowd some love there. Feeling the energy here at Krokhol. Jeff Spring giving you the knucks, and Øyvind going to go with this massive hyzer. It's definitely there, but very risky.
Yeah, if you hang this hyzer at all too wide, then you're definitely OB, right? But Øyvind just throws it perfectly there. No risk, and you can see with the low winds, it's a pretty easy shot for him.
Bradley also lining up this wide hyzer. This is pretty surprising from the technician. He must like this play with the wind today. Yeah, and well thrown into the circle there. We've got 4 players putting for birdie here on the 10th.
Yeah, and what's actually notable here once we get to this green is that even though for the tee shots the wind was very much down, right now there was some weird wind gusts, which made the putting slightly more difficult. As you can see, Bradley actually getting a big lift there.
So that is actually back-to-back circle 1 misses for Brad. And Paul somehow lifting into that crosswind. That was a big misfire from our leaders. Whoa.
Yeah, very surprising 2 misses there from some of the more solid putters you can find in this tournament. As Øyvind gets the good birdie there, gets a stroke on both of the leaders. Only 1 stroke though, as Paul makes it in from 6 meters there. I'm still waiting for my turn to take that meter from the OB line and just tap this in. Should be an easy job, although that was not my proudest putt, but went in and I'm good with that.
And you're going to pick 1 back up on the leaders. You're just 2 back now. Øyvind just 4 back. Short walk over to the tee of 11, probably the hardest par 3 on this back 9, 149 meters, very demanding shape here. Slight tailwind today, actually going to help these shots out. A lot of players are just playing this wide hyzer and just trying to go over the trees or crash through them late in the flight. Some players are going right where the drone is and trying to flip something late and ride straight toward this pin. This hole is playing over par. It's certainly bogeyed more times than it is birdied.
Yeah, very true. And on this hole, really important to avoid those right side trees. You do not want to turn your drive over to the right, since the right side is very thick and filled with these tiny birch trees. As I'm actually turning my drive to the right, like I didn't want to, but I get a decent kick and I'm on the edge of the woods, so it should be a pretty easy approach from there.
And I imagine Øyvind going hyzer, stiletto, flattens it out. That's going to be over the trees. Yep, quality shot there.
Yeah, not much of a run for the basket there. As you can see, there's a pretty steep slope behind the basket from that angle, but an easy par, and that's really what you want on this hole. Obviously, these top players looking forward to hopefully have a chance for the birdie, but par is truly just fine on this hole, as Paul actually throws a beautiful flip-up drive with a fast disc sliding towards the basket, and he does have a good look from circle 2 there. That was a really good shot.
Yeah, that was Paul's neutral force. Taking a look at it from the drone. The drone shots are very unique for post-production, and I'm here for it. Beautiful shape there. Kind of trails off at the end. He's going to be inside circle 2.
Yeah, Bradley here. Also looking forward to controlling the angle on this hole, as he usually does really well. Goes with a wide flipping shot. Unfortunately turning it too far to the right, and he has to contend with all of those tiny birch trees. That's for sure not an ideal spot, and he might have nothing from there.
And Øyvind just pitching up right there.
Yeah, smart play there. Really no sense in running that, and Paul actually has a very good look for the basket here. Let's see if he can do it. Unfortunately, just hitting the cage. Another one of those C2 misses. He's not really been on the chains today with those C2 putts.
And Bradley just pushing right for his par. Øyvind tapping in. So we're going to have a new leader after this hole. There's the bogey for Bradley. McBeth going to tap in his par. You're going to tap in your par.
Yeah, and you can see the crowd behind. And the crowd control was pretty impressive at this event. You can see the rope lining the front line of the crowd there. Very good work by all the volunteers and people who run this tournament. Big thanks to all the volunteers and the TD and all of the crew on this beautiful event.
Pretty cool walk over to the tee pad of hole 12. You're on this different side of the course, this old golf green. It is just a gorgeous downhill tee shot. The 267 meters, but it plays so downhill that you really just need to throw like 100 meters, 110 meters off the tee to get yourself in position here. You want to be short of that pond. There's one tree that rises up out of the short side of the pond that kind of makes you shape something either straight or on Annie into this green. And then this basket is up on this little ridge. It's a simple par 4, but it isn't birdied too often.
Yeah, it's got so much distance that even though the fairway is wide, it is kind of difficult to stay in the perfect spot here. I'm going with an FD1 here, trying to throw a hyzer towards the right side trees and hopefully fade before. This is actually in the exact spot that I want it to be, so very happy with that drive. Right in the middle of the fairway, only about 115 meters to the basket from there.
Øyvind going high speed, overstable here. Just going to commit to the width, using the stability of his disc as he so often does. And that's a pretty ideal spot. He is checking up right next to you.
Yeah, Øyvind really challenging that right side tree line, almost scaring some of the spectators even. But that's a perfect shot there. Paul trying to do something similar, although he has a pretty bad early release here. He wanted to go at least 10 meters wider there, and that's really short and kind of not an ideal position there.
Oh, it's big misfire right there. He just really didn't get that disc up to speed.
Yeah, very true. Also, Bradley trying to do similar line as others, a little bit straighter. Although, once again, this is a bit of an early release here. Traveling towards the left side hillside, and that's really not an ideal position there. Kind of surprising shots from Paul and Bradley, two normally very accurate players off the tee.
And Paul is probably 150 meters out here. He's going to have to really get on top of this one. Going with that neutral force, flips it up to flat. That's pushing straight. It's a big shot, but he's going to have about a 20-meter putt left for his birdie.
Yeah, that was a very impressive shot, but as you said, still a lot of work for the birdie. Although it's a, as you said, very rarely birdied hole, so the par is probably not going to hurt him. Especially since Bradley is fading his forehand out into the woods. So Paul certainly at least not losing any strokes to the leader with a par here.
Øyvind just straight with a little bit of turn is what he's looking for, and he again makes that same miss. He straightens that mid out. That's out of position. Might even be... Oh, it rolls out. Okay. So pretty good rollout. He's going to be just at Circle 2's edge. Straight shot here for you.
Yes, once again, MD3 trying to give it some good height to get the distance. I did not quite give it the hyzer angle I wanted, so turning slightly to the right side woods. But I have a look from Circle 2 there. Not a terrible result, but really would like to be inside Circle 1 from such a perfect drive there.
Yeah, no one on this lead card really in a great position to birdie. Bradley just having to pitch that one up to 5 meters. Yeah, Øyvind from Circle 2's edge right there. Paul's going to be just inside. Best chance for birdie here.
Yeah, absolutely. Finally trying to make one of those C2 putts, but once again hits metal but does not stay in. He's really hitting all over the basket today, but just not making it in the chains. And I'm trying to get a stroke on the card here, actually. From Circle 2, unfortunately, me too at the cage. But I'm really not too mad about that, you know, not losing any strokes. And it's an okay par, I feel.
So this entire lead card is going to par here.
We should stop it. Just stop the video.
No, don't stop the video. Stop this. All right, we head up the hill to hole 13, and we are back in this dense pine forest. Another demanding straight 100-meter shot here. This one plays slightly longer, probably plays closer to 108 meters. Very difficult. You have to shape something straight for the first half of the flight. A little bit of draw into this pin here. Very easy hole to bogey if you miss this early gap.
Yeah, for sure. It's everybody on this hole is just thinking about making that first gap and hopefully keeping the disc flying straight after that. I'm going with a slightly understable PD here, trying to go with the slightest turnover. I actually split the last two trees on the wrong side, so very lucky there. That's an insanely small gap, and I'm inside the circle there.
Wow, you split the last gap. That's really hard to do. And Øyvind just barely pulls that one and gets the nastiest kick way down to the left, and he knows just how bad that position's going to be.
Yeah, we almost thought about going for a retake because it kicked so far left and backwards. Paul here just kissing the last tree on the left, hitting another tree on the open, but still within a putting distance. He's only about 12 meters away there, so that's a good result with a slightly errant shot.
So Bradley's just one back here. He pipes this one through the gap. It's fading out just a little early, but that is all safe over there. We're going to cruise over to Øyvind's disc and see just how bad this lie is.
It is absolutely horrible. He's about almost 30 meters left of the fairway, way short of the gap. He said that he's just throwing and hoping on that shot and actually ended up in the middle of the fairway and throwing a really, really good touch side on from there. So a bogey save from there is very good, and he himself said that he's very happy with the save.
So Bradley kind of putting toward the out of bounds right there. Paul, similar distance here, outside the circle. Just can't connect once again, and you can see the frustration there.
Yeah, that's really been the theme of Paul for this round, being at that, 10 to 15 meter distance and just not quite being able to make them. This was once again a good line, but just hits it high. I'm here actually looking to take a stroke on the card, which is super nice after the good break on the drive, and I'm really happy to capitalize on that. And it was a very big crowd at this point, since this is next to the hole 18's fairway. So it was many hundred people there.
And you all of a sudden are back within one stroke of the lead. We have a ball game here as we get further into this back nine. We head back down the hill toward the pond, and you go back into this little pocket into the...
Boys down here just finished checking out the topography you have, and everything is A-okay.
Hey, Jonathan, catch. Huh?
Warning, low oxygen. Warning, low oxygen.
Jonathan, we're getting an anomalous critical failure on your suit. Could you please confirm status?
Low oxygen.
Sorry, man.
Warning, low oxygen.
So we're headed down into this little pocket. This tee pad is right in front of this rock wall, all this moss growing on it, ferns unraveling all around you. It's just such a beautiful little setting for this straight par 3 that's up on this little mound. 14 and 15 are probably the two easiest holes on the course, but they both kind of have their, danger looming. This one is pretty dangerous with the, little knoll. There's OB left, there's OB long.
Yeah, this hole is really difficult with the speed and angle control. Myself, to hopefully land flat, I'm going with a slightly understable mid-range here. I really like this out of my hand. I thought it was going to be parked, but then it actually does end up OB long in the pond. That's, I feel like, slightly an unfortunate break, but I did throw it a little bit too hard there.
Yeah, just one rotation too hard, it seemed. And Paul overturning that Luna, no way. Kicks into the pond, Elias. What just happened?
Yeah, that was a bit of a headwind gust there. You can see the Luna kind of turning over and bouncing in the wind, and really caught Paul by surprise there. And Bradley going with a safer option here, the sidearm, landing it short, and from there it's almost a guaranteed layup, even though he's just outside circle 1. It's such a sloping green, and behind the basket is the OB pond, so very likely layup from there.
Øyvind putting a little bit more power on this forehand. Needs it to check up. Yep, that's a good miss. Long and right is pretty safe.
Yeah, from the tee, we almost thought that was going to go in the basket. So you can see the forehand fading away from the water, really giving him that, safety of likely not going in the pond, as Paul just lays up from the fairway. And I have a difficult putt, very uphill, 9 meters here, trying to make it for the par, but unfortunately getting my first circle 1 miss off the round here.
Øyvind just up and over the rim. And he is still in this ball game. He's going to be just 3 back of the pace here. After a layup from Bradley, bogey from Paul, bogey from yourself, Elias. And this back 9 is proven to be very unpredictable for this lead card.
Yeah, exactly. Even though, as we said, this hole is one of the easier birdies on the course, really showing off that teeth that it still has. That's very common on these shorter par 3s on this course, Even though they're easy birdies, they still have some teeth.
And this is just such a beautiful par 3, 106 meters, pretty much flat the whole way. You're throwing over this pond. Basket is up on this little mound. There's this beautiful rock face in front that is marked with out of bounds. If you do throw OB here, you're headed straight to the drop zone, short of the pond. I would say this is the easiest hole on the course. There's just plenty of space on the green. A little bit of rollaway potential on the right side, but this feature card should be looking for circle 1 here.
Yeah, I agree. Certainly the easiest par 3 on the course. Øyvind going with a common play, which is a forehand here. Trying to stay left of the basket, which he doesn't, and actually goes down the hill to the right. He's outside the circle there with a very uphill look. You really want to land just a little bit left of the basket here to stay on the flat.
Beautiful late cruising turnover there from Bradley. He's at 5 meters.
Myself, I'm going with a fairway driver forehand, beat up FD3 here. It's a pretty straight flyer with a good overstable finish. I pulled it a little bit to the left actually, so I still have a bit of a scary putt from around 7 to 8 meters there. Not an ideal shot since I feel like this hole suits my game very well with the forehand.
Oh, and Paul actually going with the hyzer here. And that is out of position. A pretty big misfire, I would say. He's got a circle 2 putt that is straight at the slope.
Even just missing it low, you can see the much uphill that he had to contend with. Paul from circle 2 once again. And once again he misses it, hits the top band and rolls all the way down the hill. That's a really tough break there, but happens very easily on that sloped green if you miss.
Wow, this back 9 is just turning into a disaster for Paul. He's going to go bogey, bogey on arguably the 2 easiest holes. And all of a sudden, you cash that putt, and you have surpassed Paul. Bradley's going to have a 5-meter putt to take the solo lead here. This is crazy.
Yeah, some very surprising errors from Paul there. And actually nobody on the card really lighting up the back 9, even though many of the holes on the back 9 are quite birdieable, as we saw with this hole and the 2 previous ones. And at this point you could kind of feel a little bit of an icy feeling on the card, Nobody was really playing great, and you could feel people kind of tense up as we go into the last 3 holes of the round.
Yeah, moving into hole 16, monster par 5, just an unforgettable hole, 300 meters. You're teeing off from out of bounds. You can see it there on the left in the tree line, and then right over here on the right for the entire length of the hole. You really just need, 120 meters off the tee. It's a slight downhill tee shot, and the wind was kind of down for Saturday's round. And there's a little choke point of the out of bounds right here that you want to land short of, and then throw your third into the green. And you can see another potential for a rollaway here. There is OB looming deep and left. Very dangerous putt from the right side of this green.
Yeah, exactly. This hole is all about staying on the fairway for the first 2 shots and then hopefully committing a good approach there. Bradley here, very smooth player as he is, trying to control the angle on this hole, which is really important to stay within the fairway, but he actually has a terrible early release here and ends up going OB on the left side. On this hole, you can either choose to continue where you went OB or go to the optional drop zone that is about 80 meters from the tee. I'm trying to go for a big shot here. This hole really suits the type of shot I want to throw, and I'm actually having the perfect angle on this one, and that's a really good position there.
Woohoo! That is huge. What do you think? Like 150 meters or so?
I think that was pushing about 135, almost 140 there, as we take another look. You can see I put some anhyzer on it at the start to get it moving to the right and get that extra distance. And with the quite new DD3 that I threw, having some good fade to stay out of that right side OB, and I'm really happy with that shot.
Yeah, that was huge. And especially with the leader going out of bounds. Øyvind, kind of a conservative shot, gets the green flag though, and Paul really needs to get something going to turn around this back 9 here.
And Paul was very frustrated at this point, so you can see him also just ripping a drive out there, perfectly flipping up to flat, slightly on the left side of the fairway, but that's also very far and a really good position there.
So Bradley going from the drop zone here. It's going to take 2 big shots to get up and down for a par.
Yeah, but still very possible. It's, I believe, about 225 meters to the basket from the drop zone. So 2 110-meter shots is really all it takes from there. As Øyvind is laying up to the top of the mound, getting a bit of a roll away, but still in the middle of the fairway. That's a fine position for the birdie there. And Paul actually trying to go for something big here.
Yeah, probably 150 meters from the pin. Oh, and that is just turned over. And he is out of bounds once again. I can't even believe what I'm seeing.
Yeah, he's super frustrated right now with his play, understandably so. I'm actually also going for the green, going with my really flippy DD3 here, trying to turn it over all the way there. I thought I had a really good angle on this, but just unfortunately fading out at the end.
Oh, that was so close, man. I just needed a little bit more turn on it, and it would have found the green. Big moment for Bradley here. Oh, and that just wing picked up, and he is out of bounds again. Wow, he's going to be putting for a single bogey from down at the bottom of the hill. This is wild, Elias. What is it like when the lead card is falling apart all around you?
It's honestly super surprising because these are the kind of players that I look up to. I'm not really expecting them to make such huge errors on a relatively simple hole for this level of player. As we see Paul having to just approach from around 65 meters. Makes a good approach there. We'll have a par, but certainly not what you're looking for on this hole.
Øyvind going to lay that death putt up. Smart move there. Bradley for his single bogey from 10 meters. And that is a massive moment for his tournament. Double bogey there on the 16th.
Yeah, and I actually have a putt from inside the circle to still save the birdie here after throwing only 2 shots, one of them going OB, and I was truly surprised that I was so close for the birdie there. So very happy with the birdie 4 there, even though I would have loved to get that possible eagle on this hole. That's some good strokes on the card too, even though I didn't quite realize it at that moment.
Yeah, so all of a sudden you've got a 2-stroke lead over Paul and Bradley 4 over Øyvind, and we are headed to the island, hole 17. One of the signature holes on the course, no doubt. 115 meters. This hole descends about 10 meters from the tee to the green, so a pretty downhill tee shot here. We're teeing off from out of bounds, so it plays as a true island. If you miss this island, you're headed to a drop zone. That's about a 60-meter shot. You can see that out of bounds really close to the right side of this pin here and long. There's a lot more room on the left side of this green.
Yeah, very true, and many players looking forward to hopefully fading a little bit left rather than staying right. I'm trying to make that happen with a slightly overstable mid-range here, trying to hang it out a little bit right off the basket and hopefully fade just softly to the left. Although I get a bit of a wind lift here, I'm almost scared to go left side OB, but barely just stay safe there. That's a really good break there to stay safe, because it would have been an instant, at least 1 stroke more to the score.
Øyvind hammering this, I believe, either a harp or a sinus out and just a little too much angle. And he's headed straight to the drop zone.
Yeah, that was almost really good, but as we said, the right side, even though he's only 5 meters from the basket, still OB and has to go 60 meters away from the basket. Paul playing it really safe, short left, having another one of those pesky C2 putts that he's been struggling with. And Bradley, actually, I believe, going with an overstable driver here. So very touchy shots here.
Yeah, just such a beautiful delivery he's got, though. Playing that flex, I believe, Firebird or potentially Draco, but he's inside the circle there. Putting for a birdie. And as you're walking up to this, I'm wondering, like, are you considering running this at all, or is it just too close to the... Okay, Øyvind is first from the drop zone, that's right. This is not automatic.
Yeah, certainly not. It's actually quite a tricky approach with the OB close, and he's far away. He's outside the circle 1 there. Certainly not what he was looking for. But yeah, as you asked, I'm considering laying this up or running, but wanted to go with kind of a half run here. That was actually online, but dropped before the basket, so it's just fine by me taking the par here.
Øyvind needed that one, and he's going to cart a double bogey. And McBeth, very timid run there. This has been a really tough back 9 for Paul. Bradley coming up short there. Pretty tough back 9 for him as well.
Yeah, Bradley is still able to give the audience some entertainment. He gained some good laughs with that sarcastic thumbs up after the missed putt from inside the circle.
No one on this lead card is going to card a birdie here on 17. And this has just been such an unpredictable round. This is one of the reasons why I love the Krokhol disc golf course so much. It's because at any moment you can start throwing OB and your round can just unravel on you. And headed into the final hole of the day. It's 230 meters. It's a huge downhill tee shot. There's OB on the left side, but a ton of space over on the right. Ideally, you'd love to smash one out toward that 150 meter sign to make this approach that much easier, because you're going to see as we approach this final green, you can see just how tight it really is. It's just bigger than the circle, and there's this little hazard bunker right in front of the pin, which makes you really kind of overthink the shot and try and land on the deep side.
Yeah, very true. That's there's some room on the deep side of the basket. I'm actually trying to go for a huge drive here. Hopefully going with that slightly understable glided DD3. I turned it over just a bit more than I would like, hitting the furthest tree on the edge of the wood line, and I don't have a look for the basket from there, but it's gonna be a simple layup to the edge of the fairway. And Paul throwing towards the right side, trying to hyzer something into the fairway, but flips it over rather, and he's deep inside the woods. That's a terrible place to be after the drive. Really surprisingly errant shot there from Paul.
Bradley putting a good move on this one. Just short of the 150 meter sign. He's probably going to be close enough to go with that pig into the green again.
Yeah, I believe so. And Øyvind has been playing this very safe, but still quite a good distance hyzer. You can see he's almost reaching the 150 meter stake. So he's got a good approach to green from there. And Paul with just a terrible spot in the woods, able to pitch out just barely, but that's still not an easy approach from there.
Yeah, that was an awful spot. Really surprising tee shot from him. Here's Bradley. Probably 85 meters here with this pig. Checking up. Oh, and it skips just over the rocks. That's a huge mistake right there.
Yeah, kind of slightly unfortunate, but he had a lot of speed coming in compared to, as you see, Øyvind going with a high-speed disc, but very low speed hitting the ground and hits the rocks and stays there. I'm just trying to lay up here to the edge of the fairway, but I actually came up well short, so I still have about 50 meters to the basket. Not quite the layup I was looking for, but I was a little bit scared to go long to that OB between the fairway and the island.
So Paul playing this one on the deep side here. That's the safe side, but that is putting back at the OB and at that little hazard if you do miss this one.
Yep, very true. Gonna be a scary putt from there. I'm just trying to put this as close as possible. I do glide it a little bit long though, just as Paul, so I have about 10 meters going back, and that's a really scary putt.
And that's going to be a bogey for Bradley. He's going to shoot 3 over on this back 9. And McBeth finally connects. That's for his par. He shoots 2 over on the back 9. And this is your putt for par to maintain a 2-stroke lead over Paul.
Yeah, I was extremely nervous at this point, as you can see. Still nervous whether the disc is rolling or not. Certainly not happy with that result, but I know that even with a bogey, I'm in a good position in the tournament.
Øyvind in for the lone birdie. He still shoots a 2 under par despite the troubles. And he's going to be just 4 back. He's still very much in contention here for this title. And you are up and in for your single bogey. You're going to finish at 3 under on the round, 10 down for the event. Bradley moves to 8 down for the event, just 1 down on the round. That is a 6-stroke difference from yesterday's hot round.
Yeah, surprisingly weak scores from the lead card today. Well, not particularly weak, but not any huge fireworks on the lead card. Tomorrow, I'm sure there will be much more hotter scores in the final round.
Yeah, we're taking a look at the top 10 here. You have 1 over Paul, 2 over Brad. Miro Rihanen makes this lead card, shooting a 3 down. He's just 3 back of the pace. And we got to give a shout out to the Norwegian Knut for shooting a 8 under par and moving himself to the 3rd card. And thank you guys so much for tuning into this MDG Media production from Elias, Luukkonen, and Nate Perkins. We will see you tomorrow for the final round of the Krokhol Open.